against Girona last year, both by margin of 4 goals. I think nobody saw this coming, especially with this team. But what a complete performance, and scoring four. And yes, I mean we scored a goal at the end. I think Ter Stegen could have committed a little bit more than what he did, but it's okay. It is what it is. Um, Great. Like, when was the last time? I don't remember when I was the last time so happy watching Barca play. I don't know about you, Tom. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It just makes you happy, that it makes you excited for the games that are upcoming, right? So you see your schedule and you're like, okay, Barca on the schedule, and you're like, okay, this is exciting. I can't wait to see what Flick does next. And I feel like we've been missing this as a fan base for several years now. Actually, there was a little period with Xavi where we were kind of excited, but then it fizzled down, unfortunately. But with Flick, so far it's been relentless, and that's the right word. I feel like relentless, because Barca are relentless. Once they get going, they don't stop. And even the international break couldn't stop us. So that's a huge point for Barcelona, because these breaks, in your momentum, they can cause so much damage. But if the team is mentally there, I mean, we said in our preview, that kind of, if Barca can remain focused, if Barca can retain this momentum, both physically, tactically, and mentally, they will beat Girona, and that's what happened. Just continued playing their game. There wasn't much adaptation from Flick, but there was some. There was some adaptation. He mostly stuck to his guns, right? So he mostly stuck to what works, and we've seen the things that we have been seeing since the beginning of his era, which hasn't been long, to be fair, but there are things that he doesn't compromise on, and those things seem to be working, and that's when things gel perfectly, right? And I'm absolutely thrilled about that. And yes, as you said, it just makes things more exciting.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, it's been every match. There was a time with Xavi. There was it was a 1-0 grind till the end. So to
Mm,
be in complete, control of a game right from the get go, away, not even at home, even though we don't really have a home stadium, so whatever. But I mean, it was so good to see. Number one, number two, so many positives because it was right after the national break. Generally, we are far worse after we are leggy. We,
yeah.
we can't move forward.
Hmm.
So there are so many issues that happen. But they were right on the ball. And in the first half, I mean, they were just all over, and Girona could hardly get out of
Hmm.
their half, which is not easy with a team coached by Michel. I think so. So many positive aspects of it, and the game plan mostly worked. I think Inigo and Gavarsi were again spectacular at the back. I think Pedri's looking so much more confident and calm and better
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
season, and Flick's also using him pretty well. If I would say, is far deeper. The goal he scored today was ecstatic, outstanding goal. And then he's also he's taking him off after the 68th, 65th minute, Pedri's off, and that's a good rhythm that he's trying to build with him.
Hmm.
And then if you look into the shift, obviously we've not talked about Lamine, and we'll talk about Lamine because yeah, he's the one who made the difference in the beginning. But if you look at the whole, everybody's contribution, the game is pretty insane what Flick has
Hmm.
been able to do. And uh, Xavi pretty much had the same team, literally. We shouldn't compare, but pretty much it was the same team.
Hmm.
But such a night and day difference in the team, in the way they are playing right
Hmm. Exactly. It's how you use the players. That's what we kept saying. It's not the players. It's just the if you see players as certain tools in the game, and then you use them a certain way, you have to use them so that their strengths are always emphasized and their flaws are masked as much as possible. Xavi failed in that. That was the main failure of Xavi, was misusing the profiles that he had. So far, Flick has been using them to the best of their abilities, because he plays to their strengths, and that's massive in football. And you have to know this, that at this level, so we say, okay, Barca have a squad that may be lacking. Yes, they are lacking. Individually, they're not maybe superstar elites and whatnot. But at this level, there are no explicitly bad players, right? You,
now.
you do have players that are maybe worse, some are better, but they're not bad players. At this level, you get players who are top of the top, right? They are. but there is such a thing as profiles and systems, and that's what matters, right? So this is the only real difference between a player performing well and player performing not so well. Of course, there might be differences between a Lamine Yamal and I don't know, a lower tier winger in the first division. Of course, there will be differences, individual differences, ability wise, talent wise. Those exist. However, the systems are built to maximize the players, and Flick is doing exactly this, and that's what we see in the success, because it's as simple as that, I feel. And that's where the same squad can be, performing night and day, from last season to just the first couple of games of the new season. So it is remarkable, but it's also what a coach and a system are meant to be doing. So essentially, Flick is doing what he's meant to be doing. That's what I'm trying to say. In short.
No, I get it. But let's take some questions. There's some interesting ones from people who are on the chat. So I think first one was, why did the Girona penalty not stand? The second is, what are your predictions about Lamine's GA? And the third one is tea or coffee? It's tea. It's tea. I don't know, Dom. What are you having?
Coffee. I'm having beer just now, but it's coffee.
I'm having
It's
beer.
usually,
I'm having tea.
yeah.
Okay, so why did the Girona penalty not stand? Well, I am no expert on refereeing or UEFA or FIFA or La Liga, but my understanding is, if you are facing the ball, you're facing away from the ball, and it hits your arm from your own teammate, that is not seen as intentional, and hence it's not a penalty. That's just
Yeah,
what the
I think the key was Balde hitting the ball first. That was the key.
and the fact that he was facing, like, Inigo was facing our goalkeeper at that time. He was not even facing on the opposite side. So these are the two things. Now, whether that is right or wrong, I'm sure if you ask a Real Madrid fan, he will say that was wrong. And
Oh,
many other people would say the same. And then penalties are hard. Like, it's hard. Handball rules are very, very complex. So I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on it, but that's basically what my take would be. All right, what are your predictions? Bonnie says, what are your predictions for Lamine's goals and assists this season? It's hard to say that, but I'd say if he goes like this, I think he'll be far more assists. I think he can be easily 15, 20 assists in the season. His game is suited for that. Goals, maybe 10, maybe more. 10 to 15, maybe 10 goals and 20 assists. Dom, anything from your side?
I would say, maybe something like that. 30 GA would be good. Would be something he can reach. So it will be more assists, I feel like. Yes, he's had a good started goal scoring season, and he is scoring wonderful goals. But I still don't think that this will be a sustainable way for him this season, not just yet. So I would say he can reach about 15 to 20 assists, and then I don't know, around 10 goals would be what I would go for. So yes, I would agree, something like that. So 30 goals and assists, or goal contributions in total, I will be very happy with Lamine's contribution, because he does much more than just the score and assist. He will create those chances that precede the chances, and so on and so forth. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't hold us like, he can have a wonderful season and he can go on to score many more goals. So that's possible, and anything's possible in football. So we are not soothsayers sitting here, but based on where we sit, his game is much more mature to the level of providing those assists. So I think he's going to get a bunch of assists this season. And
oh, yep. Okay. Dev froze a little bit. So until he comes back, I can just have a look at the questions and see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Going from the beginning, Lewandowski. Right. Okay, we can talk Lewandowski, because Lewandowski, I feel like he was still good. See that chance that he missed, where he created the separation. He got a ball from midfield, or was it just the central channel? He creates the separation by himself. So one touch to kind of blitz past. Oh, there you are. I was just continuing with while you were trying to reconnect.
back
So we're talking
in,
yeah, don't worry. I was taking the question, so it was Lewandowski next. So I was saying, I don't think even those misses that he had, I don't think that makes him bad per se, because the separation that he did, Dev, I don't know what minute that was. He received the ball from the central channel. He took one touch to create separation from the defender. He creates his own angles. Yes, that was amazing. So he creates his own angles. That's what the instinctive finisher does. He creates his own angles, even though at first there might not be any visible, right? So that's what he does really well. Then he missed the goal. Of course, doesn't matter. I think he still scores that 7 or 8 times out of 10. I feel like so.
Yeah,
At least the Lewandowski that we know, right? So I still don't think he performed badly. It was a good game from him, just without goals. So yes, that's kind of what he's meant to be doing. He's meant to be scoring goals. But yes, even without the goals, I felt like he was okay, and he was also pressing at certain times, which I appreciated from Lewandowski as well.
yeah, absolutely. He was pressing a lot, and I think not a bad game from Lewandowski. It was
No.
just a matter of seconds. He should, and probably would have scored that. It just,
Mhm.
just didn't happen. There was the other question around why does playing through the middle work so much for us? Well, my answer to that is we have done a fairly long video on this. You should watch
Yeah.
it out on our YouTube channel, where we explain. But just to simplify it, I think this concept of minimum width within which Flick is playing these days, which is um, just before the zone of 14, the zone 14, and in that center circle, that's where Barca's transitions are happening, and that's where Barca has the best players, and that's where Barca are, doing the through balls, releasing the runners and so on and so forth. And that's really helping them. And that's the main difference that we have seen from how Xavi was playing, even though both have wingers. His wingers are, inverting into that space. And then all the
Yeah.
attacks are happening from there. And that's why it's been very effective because Barca has ball players like that. But I'll let Dom also add to it.
No, I think the main thing that you mentioned was the accumulation of talent that Barca has in the middle. So all our best players are generally in that middle of the pitch, and that's where you want to have control if your best players are there, and you want those players to have the maximum number of touches possible, and which is exactly what's happening now. And of course, you have the profiles to thrive in those little pockets. You have Casado, Pedri, and Olmo. Of course, you have Lamine inverting. You have Rafinha coming down. You have Lewandowski dropping deep. So you have all those players who can play those roles, who can play in those areas really, really well. Well, Lewandowski should be minimized in that area, but he still does it. He's just a body there most of the time. He's just a body to add numbers and to create dilemmas for defenders when you have to mark two players at the same time, for example. So that's what he does when he drops deep. He doesn't drop deep to play make. He drops deep to be more of an enabler or a nuisance or someone to distract, right? So that's good. But then you have the Pedris and Olmos and the Casaros who have a high touch volume every single game, and they dictate the game. And then when you have, apart from that, is you don't have unnecessary verticality from the midfield. The verticality comes from the back line. So you have Inigo and you have Pau Kubarsi, who are very, very vertical, and they don't go into the final third, they go into the middle third. So the ball goes quickly to the midfield, but then it stays there much, much longer. And then you see, I saw there was a moment in this game, Lamine received the ball in the middle third. Right? He shimmies, he tricks the defender, and then retains the ball. He recycles the ball, passes the ball to Pedri. Pedri does the same thing. He shimmies, breaks the press, immediate pressure, and then recycles. They don't force the ball to go forward. They retain the ball in that middle third, and that was beautiful. That's how you sustain the pressure. That's how you keep the position pinned down in their own half, in their own defensive third, even. And that was just great. It's
Yeah.
great improvement.
Huge, and even the goal that almost didn't happen with almost happened with Lewandowski, but did not happen. I think it was a
Mhm.
beautiful switch of play from Kubarsi, one shift
Yeah,
from Pedri in the middle, through ball into Lewandowski, and in 3 seconds there was an opportunity, like literally that. So Barca's been doing that consistently this season, and hopefully that
Mhm.
works, and so on. So why
Yeah.
did we drop the intensity towards the end of the game? We could have gone for five and sent them. I don't think we didn't want to score five. I think we wanted to, and if we could have, we would have. But the thing is, I mean, you got to give credit to the other teams as well. I think what Michel did with Aspria and bringing Stuani and Porto, the whole
Yeah.
idea was, and Aspria played a solid shift, I would say, the last 30, 35 minutes. The boy was everywhere. I think I was
Yeah.
surprised when he took off Brian Gill, but I understood what he did because he brought in Aspria, he brought in Porto, he brought in Stuani. Those two are runners, and Aspria just fed ball after ball into the cross, and they made their runs, and that was hard for
Mhm.
Barca. Barca could have actually conceded also.
They
The
could have.
truth of the matter is that. So it's not that we didn't want to score five. I think Michel adjusted his game plan very well, and tried to look for that, that consolation goal, or a better result, and he tweaked his tactics.
That's a good point. Yeah, there was much more. There was much more in behind threat. I mean, not that there wasn't before that. There was, but it was kind of we were kind of lucky as well in some situations because
You are.
Barca's narrow press and our narrow back line could have suffered much more, and they may yet suffer against a team that will have the tools to punish us properly with those behind runs, right? So that's what I'm looking for because when we press, okay, yes, Flick did adjust a little bit with the press. He did instruct Lewandowski to go a bit forward sometimes, but most of the time you have the wingers inverting on the center backs, and you have Lewandowski dropping next to Olmo on the pivots. So that means that your press is going from outside in, and that, of course, it's very narrow, and that leaves the fullbacks or the wide players open. And there was a couple instances where Girona accessed those players deeper out wide, and then went straight forward into the Gutierrez's and into all these players that can overlap,
Gutierrez was
that can run
difficult.
into.
I mean,
Yeah,
Gutierrez was a
he was.
nuisance, and Kunde is
Yeah,
awesome, but Kunde
yeah,
didn't
but
really manage him very well in this game. That's the truth. We were lucky that something didn't happen. Okay,
mhm.
there's another question. We'll all talk about Lamine, Pedri, etc., but we must give Martinez kudos. He has been awesome. Yeah, he has been awesome. But as Dom has said many a time, and we have also seen from other people who come on the show, and if you use the right players in the right positions, they will play better. And Flick
Yeah.
has just done that. He uses Inigo Martinez where Inigo Martinez is used to playing all his life. And Inigo Martinez does well. And because the rest of the structure is set up in such a way that there is no unnecessary, or at least till now, pressure that comes
Mhm.
on the team, it's easy for them to, easier, not easy, easier for them to maintain that style. So if you look
Mhm.
at the Kouarsi Inigo combination that he has used in the first 5 games, and he has to use that. There's nobody else, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, he has created the team in a way so that that is sustainable. That's how the team plays, and so it's a bit for both. Yes, Inigo has been great, no questions on that, but the coach has also helped him in creating a structure that brings out the best in him.
That's yeah, that's the whole secret formula behind the success so far. And yes, Indigo, he's been very well used because we're using his passing more. I feel like, or we're building. He's the foundation. Like he and Kubarsi are the foundation of our build-up phase, and I feel like he can handle that. Right, being a left footer on the left, it helps a lot. It helps his angles. He can progress the ball much easier, and that's an added bonus when you have such a player. But he's also been quite good defensively as well. I mean, Kubarsi was great as well. But as a pairing, they've been quite solid, even though we faced some really, really strong teams already. And we will face Villarreal, we'll face Monaco. So these big tests are just piling up. So we'll see. This would be the period when Barca will be tested the most, I feel like, just now. After the international break, when things can be shaky, the momentum can stop. But then also you have these tougher opponents, right? Because Villarreal are on fire as well. Monaco are on a good streak as well. So it's difficult. It's difficult, right? So and we'll get tested because we'll have injuries. We don't know what happened to Olmo. Ferran got a red card, which if Fati returns, fine. You have a replacement there, let's say, but still our squad depth is non-existent, right? We're so thin. We're so thin across the board that if you're gonna play across different competitions, this will matter. That's why it comes to bodies, literal bodies, as you go deeper into the season, and you spread yourself thin across 3 or I don't know 4 competitions. It's tough.
We're going to see a lot of athletic players. Let's just be honest about it. There is no chance. We are going to see all the kids come out and play. Sergi Dominguez,
Yeah.
the Fernandez cousins. I think all of them are going to come and play at some point because we are, as Tom Roddy pointed out, like we're so thin, so stretched
Yeah.
thin as a squad. It's not even funny. Okay, the question here is, all right, what are the changes that we would expect against Monaco? Don, why don't you go first, and then I'll add my thoughts.
I think Flick won't change much. I don't think he should. It's just the man of all is almost fit. If almost fit, almost would play. If almost not fit, then you probably get Ferran in, and then you move Rafinha inside and Ferran outside. I think that's what will happen. In terms of other personnel, if everyone else is fit, I think we'll see the same thing again. Because Flick, one thing about Flick has been consistency as well, right? He has the clarity of ideas, sure, but he's also consistently applying that to the same bunch of players. Okay, he starts with the same players more or less, every game, and then he reshuffles a little bit once the lead has been secured, right? So I feel like we won't see anything different. And again, if Barca play this way, to their strengths, to what works, I think not much has to change. Even I would go with that, Dev.
Yeah, I would agree with you because I don't think there's anybody to change. Also, like who would you change?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think Frankie De Jong is coming back to play in 3 days. Gavi's not coming back. I mean, you can change if you have better players. Do we really have better players than these sitting in the? I just don't think so. So I doubt Flick has that much of an opportunity to change too much. I think he'll go with the same thing. Now, how that pans out against Monaco, that's a completely different thing. But this year's, just the setup of Champions League has changed so much, right? We don't like, you need about 20, 25 points or 15 points. Somebody says 15 points, somebody says 20 points. We don't really know.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see. It will be different though, because, and while I agree that a preseason game is nothing to, bet on. Preseason is
Mhm.
preseason. But what we saw in preseason from Monaco was impressive. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But having said
Mhm.
that, the team is on a run of wins, and wins create confidence, and confidence creates that positive spiral. So hopefully that will work through. But I'd agree with Tom that I don't think there's much to change right now, unless there's an
Mhm.
injury when he'll be forced to change, and then yeah, then that's what it is. Okay, so there are more
Mhm.
questions on where do people fit in, and so lots of things. So where does Christensen fit in? Where does Araujo fit in? Where does Frankie De Jong fit in? Where does Gavi fit in? Tom, you go
Uh,
first. Yeah.
right. I'll go first. Gavi depends on Gavi's fitness. I think he's the almost the ideal Flick 10 in profile, in personality, in the culture aspect. We talked about this a lot, Def. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but yeah,
He's
he
the nearest to
seemed
Muller that we have.
yeah, he is our mini Miller. He's still mini, but he can be a Miller, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I see in Gavi. Now, of course, you don't want to put Gavi into that role immediately because he'll have to run a lot. He will have to be involved in a lot of pressing and counter pressing and dueling. Maybe ease him in because Gavi can be a deeper presence as well. He can be press assistant. He can be the controller, retainer type if you need him to be, and he can also dribble out of pressure and carry the ball like a Frankie de Jong, for example. Not over such large distances, but he can carry the ball like Frankie, for example. So I would say you can fit Gavi anywhere you want. Ideally, when he's fully fit and ready, he's a 10, but now probably maybe deeper or maybe 10 with less intensity. But how can you go to Gavi and say, hey, Gavi, be a bit less Gavi? Because that's what he does. He will do that anyway. I mean, even if you tell him not to, he'll probably do it because it's his nature, right? Okay, so who's next? Araujo. I mean, it's the only thing that's about Araujo is his ball passing, right? So the progression that Barca is Barca bank on so much in the from the back line, on so much for the build up from the back line that Araujo will have to step up, right? He will have to be very efficient, very optimized in that way. But then I don't think he is at the Kubarsi or Inigo or Christensen level when it comes to ball playing, or so passing the ball out of the back line into the midfield, because Barca are very quick and very vertical in the build up phase, right, in the first phase, and Araujo will have to step up if that's going to happen. Of course, you could have Araujo and I don't know Pau Kubarsi, but then you would have a pivot or someone dropping deep to assist the build-up. But that also creates a ripple effect because you would rather access those pivots in the middle area than in the first zone, the first phase of the play, right? Because then they are closer to the opposition's goal. They are actually closer to the danger areas themselves, right? So if you have a Frenkie de Jong who drops deeper into the back line, he has to carry the ball all the way from there to the final third, as opposed to if he receives the ball in the middle third, then he has a shorter distance to go to reach those danger areas, if that makes sense, right? So I would still have a passer in the first line rather than having to drop a midfielder deeper to assist that build-up. So that's how kind of the conundrum with him. Same with this is can be a center back and a midfielder. I guess yeah he could be, but I'm not sure who he displaces in those roles. Potentially Casado, but Casado has been really good too. So I feel like that there could be some competition there as well. And then finally, who do we have last? Frenkie de Jong. Frenkie de Jong, I think he's a starter. If he's fit, he's a starter. So he will start next, probably next to Pedri, I would say, and that's what's probably going to happen, right? So and what should happen? He should displace Casado, and he should be in the starting lineup is if he's fit and if he's firing, which we hope that he will be soon.
Yeah. I think, but again, I think mostly if these players come back, it'll be better rotation. I think all of them will play to an extent. Somebody said Gavi is an eight. Yes, he's an eight, but
He
he
is.
can be Flick's 10. He can be. He has the skill sets.
Hmm.
Whether he will be or not, that's a different question. But
Hmm.
think about Olmo, right? People are saying he's injured. He might miss, and with Olmo, that injury scare is going to be there throughout. So we are playing 60 games a season. This is the fifth game of the
Yeah.
season. So that's 55 more left. Where do you get the players? So I think hopefully when these players come back, we have a stronger bench to compete
Hmm.
when our squad is not so thin. Because right now, if we have an injury, we have to go to Barca Athletic and get a player. That's basically how
Yeah.
bad we are. When these players come back, then we just have better bench strength to go through. Who will play? I think depending on the match, depending on the game, depending on the situation, number of yellow cards, what have you, they will keep rotating. Because I mean, Gavi can do what Frankie De Jong can do for this team.
Yeah.
It's
He
just what
can.
it is, right? And Christensen can play a center back, and Araujo can play a center back, and Inigo Martinez can play a center back. Now they can't become different players altogether overnight, but what happens is depending on the situation, depending on the game, depending on um, external factors, Flick has a choice at that time to
Hmm.
decide who he wants to play with, which currently he doesn't. Currently, he has no choice. It is Inigo Martinez and Pau Kubarsi. That's it. That's all the choice that he has. So that's basically, I think, what would happen. A stronger bench, which is what we need.
Hmm.
And yes,
Hmm.
Araujo can pass for sure, but it's not his strongest suite.
Yeah.
He's very
Yeah.
good at interception. He's very good at reading the game. He's very good at understanding, okay, that's where the problem is going to be. I'll go and snuff that out. He's very good physically and so on. He's very good in,
Hmm.
understanding, like you put him on a Vinicius and you will see how he plays. So yes, he has amazing skill sets, but passing is not his strongest skill set. It's just what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Uh,
last season, just sorry to interrupt. Last season, he did snuff out a lot of chances that he himself had caused, if that makes sense. So he caused the issues, and then he had to be there to snuff those issues out, right? So it was kind of a double-edged sword, right? So you get his great defensive profile, but you get these shaky moments in possession as well. So that's kind of the thing about Araujo. He predicts where the play will go defensively really well. So he predicts where he has to go, where the action will go to next. That's why he's such a good interceptor and good reader of the game. But at the same time, can he play the ball? Can he be this passer out of the back that Flick needs him to be? Because Flick will need him to be a passer from the back,
yeah,
because that's what is this Barca is built upon, right? Those passes from the back.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So hopefully they come back. I'll be very happy if they come back because then we can compete in a nice way across all the competitions that we have. If we survive till December, you know, moderately by playing like this and winning the games, then we have all
Yeah.
the chances to compete equally across all competitions, and we should take that up absolutely. And at that time, we would need, all the players back so that there can be rotation, there can be people can just be used in the right way at the right time. So yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of football. Hopefully we get them back as early as
Mhm.
possible. But let's
Mhm.
cut back to the game. Let's talk about Lamine a little bit. Two goals. Dom, obviously he'll carry all the news bites and the headlines
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But what did you feel about him um, as you in this game?
It's- I I think we've all kind of run out of superlatives for Lamine. I mean, I tweeted during the game that he just lives in his own world, right? And then in that world, he's king because there's no one who touches him on this form, right? He's doing everything, and now he's adding goals to his repertoire, which would make him very very complete, right? We know all of this. But again, I will come back to the whole recycling, retaining the ball, and sustaining the pressure thing, where I saw Lamine receive the ball in the middle zones, and instead of forcing him to go forward, forcing him to dribble or anything like that, he stopped. He broke the pressure by dribbling horizontally, and then he retained the ball. He recycled the ball. He didn't force the verticality. He didn't force the attack to go forward at all times. He doesn't do it generally. I want to say that, but the whole intention of the team is different in that middle third. And that's what I loved about Lamine as well, because he already knows when that's necessary for this team. He knows when he has to stop and be a bit slower. He can be very fast at all times. He can be all attack, attack, attack if he needs to be, if he wants to be, but he understands when he shouldn't be. And to me, that was the biggest thing about him. Of course, there will be a moment where he will chase the third goal. Like today, he would. Sometimes I feel like, okay, he really wanted that hat trick. He really went for that when there were better options for him, potentially in those situations. But that's a different story because he's 17. He wants the hat trick with Barca. That's completely understandable. But when the stakes were still high, when Barca were on, I don't know, 1-0 or something like, or 0-0, I don't know. He was level-headed. He knew exactly what needed to be done in every situation. And to me, that was the biggest compliment I could give him at that point, Dev.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. He's evolving. His game is
Yes.
evolving. As a player, he's evolving. I think today his defensive shift was a little less than before the international break. Because before the international, I felt specifically that he was literally putting in a solid defensive shift in every game. Today, I thought it was a little bit less. Not a
Hmm.
shade at all in any way, but that's just a slight difference that I saw. And then overall, I think second half it was a little bit more chaotic, and then we
Yeah.
got that red card, and they scored a goal, and I think Michel's philosophy or strategy of feeding the balls and releasing the runners destabilized the team a little bit. So that control wasn't there. So obviously, in the later parts of the game, Lamine couldn't be as assertive as he was in the first half. But I mean, those are
Mhm.
parts of the game, and I think he will just, he will just learn from these. As very intelligent kid, and hopefully, um, the minutes that he's picking up right now will help later for him to just adjust to these situations better.
Yeah.
One thing that I do like is that Flick is giving him a long run. Even today, he played about 90 minutes straight in, right? We were
Yeah.
four up. He could have, easily, subbed him out, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
he seems to be managing quite fine. Like we haven't seen him tired or gassed out or what have you, and he's been playing consistently.
Yeah.
So hopefully, his evolution from a physical point of view is also happening. You have to remember he's still 17. Like it's ridiculous how young he is. Yes, he is probably tired, man, and that's why probably his press fell off. But I do think that Girona wasn't playing the game in second half as they were playing the first half. It was a very different game by the time it was minute 60 and so on. Um, so yeah, hopefully that goes. But I did think that the first goal was a little bit of yeah, it was a little bit fortunate, but you get fortune when you play well. The second goal was very good. I felt like his
Yeah.
positioning was insanely good at that moment to decide and place the
Mm.
ball like that. Not easy.
Yeah.
That he did that was incredibly good.
It
Um,
was. It was. And I feel like Barca are really good at creating their own luck. Last time we spoke how there was this inevitability about Barca scoring a goal. I felt the same thing today again. I felt like the goal was coming. It was we were building up to that goal slowly but surely. And I feel like that's how you create your luck by sustaining that pressure and continuing on, just piling on, attack after attack, keep trying, keep getting the ball to those main areas of the pitch where there's a higher chance of scoring, and that's what happens, right? So you create your own luck, you create a deflection, you create a missed time challenge by the opposition, you create, I don't know, something, a moment of weakness in the opposition, you create that, you manifest it, literally manifest it. I know it's not, some high tier analysis from me here, tactical analysis, but you do manifest those things by playing a certain way, by playing the way that we play today and that we have played since the beginning of the season. So I feel like we are creating our own luck, and that's a real thing in football. Luck is a real thing, but the luck that you create for yourself. So I feel like that's a huge part of this. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel, because this is going both on YouTube and on Twitter, everywhere
And
we
Twitch.
are and Twitch, and we'll make it. We'll do it on Instagram as well, and on TikTok. We'll do everything that we can.
Yeah,
So
we are
if
just
you
leaving all our jobs and just doing this
yeah.
for free, guys.
Yeah. So if you can subscribe, give us a follow. That means the world. We have released a big Hansi Flick piece on YouTube with the purist as well. So take a look at that, because it's a good one. It's a good one. We enjoyed it, and it's quite in depth. If you want to learn more about Flick and his tactics, that's the piece to go to, or the video to go to. I should say. But yes, back to the questions. Which one should we tackle next, Dev?
Not a question, I think,
Mm,
but like I will echo, what many people are saying. This it just feels happy, right?
yes, I think
After
you.
last year, when it was painful, and it's not just even last year, guys. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Even when Messi was there the last few years, I think we struggled. In a good press, we struggled always. Yes, Messi got out of the jail all the time, but
Yeah.
as a team, I think this team is playing better as a full team. If you look at just overarching, and the lack, I mean, yes, Lamine's playing well, but I wouldn't say that everything is going through Lamine. There is no one
Mm,
person dependency. It's a team effort that you can see that. And we've not seen it in Barca for the longest time that I can remember. And I've been watching them for, I don't know, more than
mhm.
20, 25, 30 years I've been watching them. So that's a pretty long time. But that said, I think, yes, it's happy. I'm genuinely, it feels exciting to watch again. That okay, there's a game and we'll sit down and we'll watch it and it'll be interesting, because last couple of seasons, I would say, yeah, there was times when I had no interest. Like I would watch, but the interest wasn't there. So thanks, like massive kudos to Hansi Flick for having done this in such a short time. Like how long has
Yeah.
it been? He got 6 weeks or 7 weeks before preseason, and then preseason happened in like few games, and then we are in the middle of the league and that stuff. So um, just goes to show that a manager change in philosophy changes so many things, because right now it's a new team, new manager, new system, everything's new, and the players actually look happy on the pitch. So I would
Mhm.
absolutely echo everybody, who is saying that, for every Barca fan, they're like, we are out of the prison, man. We are so fucking happy because this is nice. This is just good. Don, what's your
Mhm.
take?
No, just the same thing. I mean, we talked about this at the beginning of this stream. I mean, we look forward to Barca games now, and that hasn't been the case for a long time. I've not missed a Barca game in a long time, but it has been a slog for a long time as well, right? So now you actually, sit in front of the TV and you're like, oh, let's go, let's do this, let's score some goals, let's dunk on some people. It's fun, right? It's fun, and I hope it lasts, because at one point we will struggle. We will struggle, definitely will. There will come a point where there'll be much tougher teams to face, maybe in the Champions League, maybe in La Liga, maybe Real Madrid, maybe Bayern, or Borussia Dortmund, or even Red Star Belgrade in Serbia over there. I mean, it's not going to be easy, right? So there will come games where we will struggle a lot, and we have to keep in mind that this team is still evolving. It's still kind of in that process of becoming, the best. We're not there yet. We're celebrating here. We're really happy with the progress so far, but this is not a finished product, right? And when the team is not a finished product, then it will probably, it'll probably struggle at some point. So let's brace ourselves for that as well. But then when that does arrive, we have to be, as objective, as level-headed as possible in that situation as well. So
Absolutely. and
yeah.
and like we are always very quick to criticize. Like I'm very
Oh yeah.
critical. I'm also very very practical and very critical, right?
Mm,
I'll agree that. And we are very critical, and we jump like when something doesn't happen right, and we are, you know, but 19 goals in the first 5 games, that's 4 goals a game, right? And yes,
mm,
Valladolid, you can say, okay, we scored 7 goals, but away Montilivi, and you score 4, you could have scored 6. This wasn't easy. And so credit where it's due, the people who are in charge of, player profiling or building the team, they did get a few things right. even though we sold players, and there was a lot of negativity just before the season started. Every Barca fan was like pissed. Let's just be honest. Everybody was like, "Yeah, this is just not done," and all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
and maybe Deco didn't really know. To be entirely honest, he just went with what he went with, and it's just worked out. But fact is, like, Flick knew what he wanted, and he spent his time and he did his homework, and you can see the returns or the rewards of it on the pitch right now. Now, what is the ceiling or the evolution that can happen when better players come and so on and so forth? That we won't be able to tell. But kudos to the club as well. I mean, we criticize them, but when they do well, we should also give them the due credit. Same thing about
Hmm.
the wage bill going up, teams playing well. Something is going right. Otherwise, these things won't happen. We have been through the darkest times of Barca, all of us, and we have seen that. And this is different. This is so much more different, and it's a step in the right direction. So very happy about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't have any much more to add to that topic because yes, we're happy, we're enjoying the moment, and the moment is lasting so far for quite a long time. 5 games, 5 wins. I did not expect that. I mean, I'm generally optimistic when it comes to Barca games. I was like, okay, we can win this one. I know we can, but then something happens and we just lose all of a sudden. But no,
I have
I
one question
really
though, Dom. I have one question
yeah.
for you, and that is tactical. So my question is: first half, very good, kind of in
Hmm.
control, not as fresh as before the international break, especially with
Yeah.
Olmo. I think he wasn't that sharp within the lines, but he scored a beautiful goal, and whatever. So I'm happy. But my point is, from 60th minute onward, right? Barca won the sharpest. Yes, we won, no questions on that, fair and square. But Michel changed the game. He changed the players, he changed the game. And then we had to be forced on the back foot, right? And we were.
Hmm.
And there were some chances, and they could have been scores. Now, a better team, like let's say a Manchester City or a Madrid, or there are many of them out
Hmm.
there, Arsenal, right? And we face teams like that. What do we do at that situation? Like, what was the change? Why did it happen? One, all right, and two, if it happens, what could we do?
Right. So the change was they got like a proper target man in the middle, and they got pacey in behind runners, on the flanks, fresh runners on the flanks, while we had still at the same players defending those new fresh players, and that kind of gives you a solution to almost every game state, right? When you have those tools, you can play against anyone because if you get pinned down, all it takes is one ball over the top into the target man who lays it off into the runners, and off you go. And then when you got tired legs, you get a lack of intensity from our part, which was true at certain points in the second half. And you also get a lot of changes in our personnel. That's what tends to happen, right? Because Barca defend best when they defend with the ball. We keep hearing that, but that's still true. That's still true. When we have the ball, that's when we are the safest, and that's how it should be. Now, as soon as that quality went down with Pedri coming off, Olmo coming off, we're losing those in between the lines, congested areas, security. That's when problems arise. When you lose the ball, and suddenly you're off to the races against fresh wingers and a target man who can hold off your defenders down the middle. So you got big problems. So what's the solution to this? There's no easy solution because that setup is created to play against any team, right? So every team would struggle against that because it's just a simple outlet type play. It's traditional play that can hurt anyone if the the environment is right. The best way to tackle it is to stop it before it happens. Now, this sounds very, I don't know, hypothetical. I'm not sure what to call it, but you have to stop it before it starts, right? So we have to cut out the supply. So we can't face them in those duels one on one. We have to face them before that duel even happens. So we have to be very efficient in your counter pressing, and that means you have to be very optimized, very stable in possession of the ball. That's Barca's way to success. Very stable possession and very effective counter pressing. Because if they stretch us out, if they can blitz past us, which they have done even in the first half, when they get a bit of space, when we're late for our pressing, they can play a couple of passes and they are off the races. And that's when we suffer. And we have suffered for a long time. And in this game and before this game, there were examples when you leave them too much space, that's when what we can't compete, because we have Casado and Pedri in the double pivot. We can't compete over large distances, right? That's never going to happen. So what we have to do is we have to stop those passes at the source. That's the only way to do it. Either that, or you pray that Koundé and Balde and Kubarsi, Indigo can stop these players to 1 versus 1. But if you play a Man City and you have a Haaland running at you, you're not stopping him, right? If you have a Mbappe running at you, you're not stopping him, right? Most of the time, you're not stopping those players. So you have to stop the source of that ball coming to him. That's the way you do it. That's how teams play against Messi as well. They stop the ball from getting to Messi, because if the ball reaches Messi, it's already done. 9 times out of 10, you lose, right? But if you stop the ball from ever reaching Messi, that's how you deal with him,
Yeah, I
theoretically at
agree.
least.
Okay, we'll probably take two more questions before we wrap up. It's been fun, but it's like 3 a.m. here in Sydney, so yeah, I gotta go to sleep. But we'll take this one. Honest opinion: with a soft tackling midfield and a high line, would Madrid enjoy playing us, or will our goal scoring prowess offset that? It won't be easy with Madrid. But I personally think so, because of a few reasons. What we just talked about right now, right?
Yeah.
With Madrid and Bellingham and their midfield, Chouameni, Camavinga, Fede Valverde himself, right? They have a far more stronger functional midfield than we have, which can move the ball pretty fast. Then you add the wingers that they have and the quality, correct? And it is not going to be that easy. So because they're also pretty vertical, and they also don't waste time in aimlessly passing the ball around. They'll move. They'll quickly switch up play. They'll move the ball. And they haven't clicked this season for sure. Yes, and they're still figuring things out. But they have too much quality in their ranks. So will they enjoy? I don't. It's just a professional football. They'll be wary, just like we are wary. They're watching the team. We're watching the team. So, will it be a cakewalk for anyone? I don't think so. It never is. But it won't also be easy for Barca against them, because this is the only team that we have. The team that we saw against Girona, that's our best team, right?
Mhm.
Hopefully, this team is fit enough to face um, Madrid when
Real
it happens.
Madrid, yeah. Mm.
We don't know whether that will happen, right? Because that's a little bit off. There are many games in between. Anybody can get injured anytime, and then we don't even have this to face them, and then that's a challenge. That's a problem. Um,
Mhm.
so, so that would be my first thing in terms of how I see it. But having said that, where we have always struggled with Madrid also is because of our very slow. Even if you think about the last 2 seasons, we were doing pretty well in both the Clásicos, actually.
Mhm.
First Clásico, till minute 60, we were really taking the game to them. And then there's this free goal from somewhere, and Ter Stegen does whatever he does, and then we score that, and Bellingham scores, and that's it. We lose control. The next one, we were leading 2-1 at minute 75. And then you have a hitman or a target man like Jose Lu up front, and he destabilizes the thing, and they score, and then they win, right? So, so we have chances with Flick. We definitely have chances of winning. That much I would say, even though Madrid has, I would say, a far better team than Barca have in terms of personnel to personnel quality and so on and so forth. But if they continue playing like that, playing like this, because it follows a particular philosophy, follows a particular style, I think we do have a lot of chances to win against Madrid as well. Dom, what's your thoughts?
Yes, I would agree. I mean, would Madrid enjoy playing us? I mean, generally, no, but yes. I mean, in a way that we do play a high line. We do have these soft tackling midfielders, as you say, Van Lee. So yes, they would enjoy playing that kind of a structure. When where the team is kind of open in the back, they leave spaces for the Mbappes and the Vinicius to exploit. Of course, they would enjoy facing such a team. But will our goal scoring prowess offset that? I think yes as well,
Yes.
because as Dev has pointed out, we haven't been able to close out games against Madrid. But if we can do this now and actually are proficient in our goal scoring, then we don't have to get to that point where we actually fall apart, or where I don't know, Bellingham scores a wonder goal to win in the game, we can actually skip that part of the game and just go straight to the win. Theoretically, in ideal situations, of
You've got
course.
to stop Bellingham scoring that wonder goal. That's basically
Yeah,
it.
that's it. That's it. Just do that and you're golden, right? I mean, it's not as easy as that. Everyone knows that. We're paraphrasing a little bit here, but still, yes. I mean, we do have the team we have the team, we have the collective to face Real Madrid's
So,
individuals. That's the thing,
so,
because they are not where they need to be. Real Madrid just yet.
yet,
They have
they're
yeah
not
yeah
there as a
yeah
team.
yeah
We are
yeah
much better as a collective unit of people
yeah
playing together. Flick has been able to do that. So
yeah.
as if we turn up as a team, we have all the
Mhm.
chances to come out with something positive. But it will not be easy because the midfield, as I said, with especially Valverde, Bellingham's quality, and then what they have on the wings. It's even though it's a bit confusing with all of them on the same side, and we have talked about it and so on and so forth. But they're just too much quality to for us
Mhm.
to take them lightly from that
Yeah.
perspective. Okay, a couple of more questions. The change was simple. We knew that the game was done. Yes, true. We knew the game was done, and we bought them, and all of that stuff. But in certain cases, what will happen is sometimes we'll be forced to bring in these players, and then uh, the problem will remain. And then it's always nice to know, like, okay, in a situation like this, what can be, and it's all hypothetical anyways, right? We're not playing, we're just sitting here and giving comments, which is much easier to do than playing. So yes, to your point, absolutely, you're correct. And will we lose sleep on it? No, not at all. Absolutely, I'll just right go after this and fall asleep, so no problems on that. But yeah, I mean, it was just a thought. And so on and so forth. Okay, is a replacement goalkeeper striker more urgent for us? That's a tough one, man. I will always say a striker. Me personally, I
Mhm.
would always say a striker because goals win games. That said, we do need to think about the goalkeeping situation very honestly.
Yeah.
Like, even today, the goal we conceded, I think it's okay. It didn't matter. But just again, neither committed nor did he stay back. And that's a problem. When the team is fully in control and so on. So we definitely do need to talk about the goalkeeping situation. Whether will it be this season? Probably no, because we have many other things to solve for.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, but that said, if you ask me what I would take first, I would take a striker any day, provided there is one. And I don't know, are there any good strikers right now in the market that we need to go after? Tom.
Mhm. Yes, I would actually agree. I mean, Ter Stegen today, I actually didn't like his distribution either,
Yeah,
which is,
wasn't
his
good at
main
all.
thing was, playing with the ball was what he does, right? But today, I just don't think maybe I'm just, overreacting, but I felt like a couple of passes were really, really poor from him and they didn't land and they were meant to. They really had to land. So if he loses that, then we have a serious problem because at the moment that's what's keeping him in the game, right? It's not really his. Okay, he made a big save as well,
Yes, he
but
did.
that to be fair to him, that was a ball shot straight at him, so he didn't have to do anything. Just take it to his chest, and that's it. But he was there. He was in the right position at the right time, so he made the save. So credit to him, and we have to remember that as well. And he can make those handball type saves with his hands, and his reflexes are still good when he decides to actually move, right? Because often he just doesn't do anything, right? That's the main thing with Ter Stegen. But if he, as I said, if he loses that ball playing, then we have a serious problem, right? Because that's what's keeping him at that level that but we would need him to be, let's say, theoretically at least. But yes, I would also go for a striker. And I think Barca will go for a forward, not necessarily a striker, but they will go for a forward as a big signing because goalkeepers are never your big signings unless you're, I don't know, Chelsea or someone. But at the moment, Barca will probably. I know, yeah, yeah. Hopefully, if there's any Chelsea fans listening, please forgive us.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry about that.
yes, it was, yeah, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I think the marquee signings will be forwards or off forward. So if it's Holland, it's Holland. If it's Leao, it's Leao. But it's not going to be a goalkeeper, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, Laporta is going to get somebody. He has
Yeah.
not done this just like that. He is waiting. He's a consummate politician and a professional. So he will go for the show. He will go for the show and tell just before elections.
Mhm.
And we can be rest assured one good player or a couple of good players are definitely coming. Who they are, we'll get to know. And yeah, we'll get to see about that. But that said, it is a testament to the fact that everybody's so happy, Barca fans, that there are about 3,500 people on the stream right now. That's insane, guys. That's
Yeah.
just freaking insane. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Right?
Now,
We're
everyone,
not
go and subscribe because there are 3,500 here. Go and subscribe to our stuff. Go to the blog right now. Subscribe. Go to the
it
YouTube and
helps a
subscribe,
lot.
guys. There's a 3,500 of you. Come on, guys. We have so many videos on the channel. It would be a shame not to give them a watch. So go and and help us out a bit.
No, guys, thank you so
Um,
much.
yeah.
This makes us feel so good. Yeah, and then thank you so much for spending your time. And you could have done anything at this time. The fact that you're all here, really thankful
Mm.
for joining us on the stream. We'll come again on the Monaco game right after that. So do tune in. And I think Dom's also doing a preview of that game. So watch out for that preview. And I'll do a review of this match. I think a couple of days from now, probably, once I have the data and so on. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coverage coming in from us as well. So hopefully that'll be fun. And we look forward to seeing you after the Monaco game and in the Champions League, and that'll be great. And with that, as always, Visca, El, Barca, you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us.